All right, welcome back to Houston. Practice and qualifying is complete. Our main events are going to be underway before long. And we joked around, Jim, before the day began that Kevin Windham would have an unfair advantage since he built this track, but maybe we're not kidding anymore because he did have the fastest time.
You know, he actually did the second practice, but the first practice I was wondering because he struggled a little bit. He wasn't in the top three, but he comes out for that second one and just nips Chad Reed by a couple 100ths, and Kevin Windham looks good.
Well, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. He just nipped him, and even though he was out of the top three in the first session, we got 5 or 6 guys in the Supercross class that are so close that it can vary in each session because really we're only talking about a tenth of a second.
And we talked with Chad Reed last week, and he said, you know what, I still haven't quite figured everything out. I don't think he's figured it out because, like he said, those next 5 guys are within a couple hundredths of each other. And if Chad Reed gets a bad start, anything can happen in Supercross. And Chad Reed might not string together another win here tonight in Houston.
Yeah, and he's got to look at a couple things here. Now, we mentioned the points. He's 35 points ahead, and that's a pretty big lead. But for Chad, obviously, he's got to start thinking championship here. And if it comes down to, going down to the first turn, is it worth letting it all hang out to try to make it all the way up from worst to first when you've got that big of a lead? Because one big mistake and that points lead's gone.
Yeah, and I think Chad's pretty smart. I don't think he's going to do anything stupid out there. He knows, what has to have come, from that main event. He knows that, hey, I got 20 laps to work out there. If I don't get the bad start, I can pick up. And, we've seen Chad Reed come from before. But you know what? The key is if he goes down, how good is that motorcycle when he picks it back up? Right. Is it going to still be running, or does he have to start it? Is it going to have a broken lever? Is it going to have a broken throttle cable? I mean, we've seen that happen before years ago where if the throttle cable's broken, it catches somebody's foot peg, you're not finishing. You don't have a chance to get back on that horse and go back out there and finish.
And the reason that we're theorizing about the things that could go wrong with Chad Reed is because we've just seen it happen. Ryan Dungey had a lead of over 30 points as well in the lights class, and it's gone. He's not even in the points lead anymore. And now it's a shootout, and a real shootout, because he and Jason Lawrence are almost deadlocked on lap times this afternoon.
Well, and they flip-flopped. The first practice, Ryan Dungey was a couple 100ths faster than Jason Lawrence, and then the second practice, Dungey had the fastest time all the way until that last lap. Lap 16, Jason Lawrence comes away with just a couple tenths faster than Dungey. But you know what? The interesting thing is the guys that were in third, Stroop, and the other boys behind them, they were a second ahead of time. So I think tonight here in Houston, we're going to see Dungey and Lawrence go head-to-head for the first time for a whole 15 laps.
It's crazy that we've raced 6 rounds, and we're headed here to 7, and we haven't really seen those guys go head-to-head except for a few laps in the mud, and Anaheim won. But, Jim, I know you were picking Lawrence as the favorite the last couple of weeks. Is it too close to call this time, or are you going to go out on a limb again, man?
No, I think that limb's getting kind of shaky out on the end there. I think it might snap off. I think we're in for a great race, and it's just too hard to call right now. And, I mean, a lot hinges upon who gets that better start. I mean, like you said, we've seen Dungey. He's fast. He's got a couple wins on the season. But the times when he's had problems is when he doesn't get out of that gate, up in that top 3. And if he gets out in that top 3 and Lawrence has problems and he's in the back, then for sure it's going to be a Dungey win.
And then we got 2 months to think about it before we go racing again, Lights West in Seattle at the end of April. But right now we're racing in Houston, and it's coming up next. So make sure you check out our webcast at supercrossonline.com.